You can't solve a problem that you do not own. If you don't acknowledge the fact that you have a problem within your life, something that needs to be addressed and resolved, you aren't ever going to make progress. Right? If you're overweight, if you don't acknowledge the fact that you are overweight, that this is a problem that needs to be addressed within your life, it's never going to change. If you acknowledge the fact that you have a fear but you never take action, if you never truly take responsibility for the things within your life that are holding you back, you aren't going to be able to change, to make progress, to work towards the person that you want to become. And this isn't like lovey-dovey stuff to just take action, feel like you've conquered your fears, be this sort of person, but rather, it's for you to take a look within yourself and ask yourself, who do I want to become and what is stopping me from becoming that person? And generally, this is not a feel good sort of process. It's painful by all accounts. Trying to become a better person, facing your fears, living in discomfort. By definition, most of that stuff is not comfortable. It's painful to want to own your problems, to realize you've gotten yourself into this mess that you are in. But if you don't acknowledge that fact, if you don't feel that pain and choose to work towards a better future, it's just not going to happen. I remember back during the beginning of my self-improvement journey, back in like COVID-19 era, like 2020, 2021, I just found it so difficult to take responsibility for my situation. I found it so difficult to own up to my problems because that would be like not a character assassination, but that would be like a knife blow to my chest. It made me realize that I was the one at fault for where I was in my life. That I had made the decisions to get myself into this position, that I was at fault, right? And it was so painful because it made me realize I had a choice. And that was contrary to everything that I believed so far, where I could blame other people to think, oh, they're better than me. They're smarter than me. They're luckier than me. That's why I'm in this position right now. When you own your problems, you realize it's up to you. You are the only person who is responsible for your situation. And thinking about it right now, it's liberating. But if I go back to the perspective of somebody, my perspective, of somebody who's still trapped within that cycle of thinking, it's not my fault. I'm not at fault for my situation. I'm not responsible for where I am. I'm just unlucky. You're going to have a very difficult time making any sort of meaningful progress because as much as you want to blame somebody else, as much as you want to think that it's out of your control, when you think that it is, when you think things are in your control, when you do have the power to change, because you always have a choice. There's always an opportunity to change your circumstances for the better. Just most people don't recognize this, as I didn't for like a good 2-3 years. When you own your problems, that is when you can start to solve them. If you don't own your problems, if you deny the fact that you have a problem in the first place, you will feel powerless. Right? Life will pass you by, and you're just going to be thinking, wow, those people are living the life that I want. They're lucky. I'm unlucky. And that's just going to keep you trapped in this cycle that you currently are in. It's going to make you feel like nothing you do has any power within your life. And where will that lead you? Where will that trap you, right? Like, what sort of path is this going to take you down? One where you feel in control and powerful of the life that you are living, or one where you feel regret, where everything has passed you by and you couldn't make the change that you wanted to. The only way to have power, and I'm just going to keep coming back to this point until it's drilled into your brain, is you can't solve your problems until you own them, until you take control of them, until you realize that it's a problem, something that is meant to be solved. It's not an impossibility within life, right? It's something that is in your path, an obstacle that needs to be solved. And from there, you got to take action on it. The biggest thing that you have to realize is that it's always a choice that you are making. It's always a decision that starts within your mind. The mindset of thinking that I can change my circumstances, that I can move towards a better future, that I can truly become the person that I want to be. It starts within your mind. Because if you don't believe that, if you don't fundamentally believe on a level that you are not destined for success, You are not destined to become the person that you want to be, that your problems are insurmountable and unsolvable. That is the truth, right? If you don't own your problems, if you don't face your problems, you believe that they're unsolvable right off the bat, they are. Because you are already in your way. You are already halting yourself from ever making any sort of meaningful progress in the first place. Everything is going to be filtered through that lens in your mind, telling you, don't do this. You literally cannot do it. If you believe that you can solve your problems, that they are solvable, and if you need proof, just look at all the people who've had your problem and overcame it in the first place. You will come to realize that it's just an effort on your own part. It's just choices that you need to make to get yourself to the place where you want to go. So own your problems, right? Your fears, your discomforts, your anxieties, whatever's holding you back. You got to ask yourself, how can I tackle this? Actually take action for it. Because often these painful areas within our life are where the most growth lies, right? Where you have the option to go through this painful experience, yeah, and it will make you grow as a human being, right? You own this problem, you go through the experience and the pain and the struggle of solving that problem, all of a sudden you're in a better position because of it. Why? Because you've earned it. You've solved that problem through your own merit, your own skills, and now you can move on to the next one, right? Because life is all about first acknowledging that you have problems to be solved, but just because you solved one problem doesn't mean they're done for life. There's always another one right after. There's always this never-ending staircase of more problems to be dealt with. So when you deal with one problem, when you start by taking on the first thing ahead of you, and you tackle it, and you deal with it, and then from there, you feel good for having overcame it. That's just the start of the next step. And that's how life should be. Humans enjoy solving problems. It's part of human nature. For example, right now, I'm working on my conversation skills. That's the problem I'm struggling with at the present moment. As a result, what's happening is I'm getting better at it, but now I'm realizing there's more problems ahead of me. They're better problems than before, right? And that's the way I enjoy it. So ask yourself, what are you avoiding? What problems do you need to start acknowledging within your life? Because if you don't acknowledge them, you aren't going to make any progress. So that's all for this video. If you enjoy this content, consider subscribing. But besides that, peace.